Hello. So I want to just talk about this attack that's happened in Germany, shooting a German guy, Tobias R. A an actual far right person has gone on a shooting rampage and killed 10 people, I believe, and he's been found next to his mother's body. The fact that he's published a manifesto that I haven't bothered looking for, I don't really want to read it because I imagine it might be like I can't remember his name, but the Christchurch killer, his one, which was terrifying because it wasn't the rantings of a lunatic, a crazy person. It was quite salient thought, very logical, coming to the only conclusion that he could perceive was a way of dealing with the problem of the sort of the militant arm of Islam, the jihad, but obviously not just the terror attacks, the grooming, the taking over the legal systems and stuff like that. So I imagine this might be quite similar and just as terrifying to read. And the response from the media and whatever the politicians, I haven't seen that much of it yet, is predictable and unhelpful, because this guy, I imagine, so obviously it's my opinion on this at the moment, has done like the Christchurch killer. I thought he's looked at it, thought about it, and yeah, he might be full of hatred, he might just be a nasty racist, but he hasn't targeted non-Muslims, I believe. I think he's just gone after Muslims, and whether some other non-Muslims have been killed in this as well, possibly, but he's targeted Muslims. I imagine it will be the same thing. He's just looked at what's going on in the world, the lack of action from his own government and other governments in the world, and thought he needs to do this. Now, the media are making it very clear that this is racism, this is an evil thing, racism, and they're not saying, oh, this is some lone wolf, they're not saying he's mentally ill, they're not saying, oh, let's protect the churches and let's think of, spare a thought, please, Muslims, please spare a thought for the poor Christians that may be victims of reprisals, revenge attacks. They're not saying any of that, because that's what they say every single time that there is an Islamic terror attack, and they're really well practiced at it because they get a chance so bloody often. So I want to make clear, I'm appalled by this guy, and this is an act of evil, and if there's a hell, he deserves to burn in there, because it's not right what he's done. It's evil, but you can expect more of this unless the people that are likely to be pushed to this point actually have confidence that something might actually be being done. But whilst you're refusing to acknowledge the reality of what's happening with Islam around the world, then more of these cases will happen where people think, okay, well, this is what else is there left to do? So from the point of view of someone that's getting that twisted in their thoughts about being forced into doing something so drastic, if the government's actually going, right, okay, we're going to be really careful with immigration now, we're going to really make sure that we pump the brakes on this stuff, make sure people are qualified, know who's coming to our countries, then right, people that are clearly a risk to the people must be removed from society, either by being locked up permanently or being expelled from the country if they're foreign nationals. Now, mosques that are radicalising people to acts of terror are being closed down, and many people will say in the comments, burn the mosques, bulldoze them, and it's like, look, if they can be opened with a more moderate Muslim, and I know, yes, an imam, people are going to say there's no such thing, and maybe there is. Maybe there are clearly reformers in Islam. I know people probably don't like Majid Nawaz and all that, and he's a slippery son of a bitch, probably has got an agenda, but that he is speaking out about reforming the religion. So surely there are people out there, and if those people can be encouraged to come forwards, if we are deporting the really dangerous ones, the ones that are radicalising young men who are angry and convincing them that you know, killing for Allah is a good thing, then we are going to get more of these. And it would seem that when the far right does violence, they're very, very good at it. And they will only get better, I imagine. And, you know, it's really scary. I imagine now we're going to hear about this for a very long time. I should imagine this will dominate the news for a little while, like the Christchurch one did, like the Darren Osborne one did. If there are any Islamic terror attacks in between time, they can get brushed under the carpet, because this is the real problem. We've got to deal with the reaction, not the actual cause. We need one single standard by the media and by the state. Politicians need to stop being afraid of being called a racist. You know, it's the likes of David Lammy and Diane Abbott. You know, let them scream away. Stand on your principles if you've got any. If any of those politicians in there actually have any, and say what needs to be said. Say that we need to have the conversation nationwide, in Parliament, in the House of Lords. Have these conversations. What's happening with Islam? What can we do about it? And let's get on with it, because otherwise there's just going to be more and more of these.